Right, we're going to use some old school Photoshop methods on the eyes. You see where it's darkening under the eyes around here, and those crevices that need a bit of filling in, and those shadows and bags under there. We're going to go to Layer, New Layer. We're going to turn this into an overlay blend mode, and this little checkbox down here, when you're ticking it, and that's going to fill it with overlay at 50% grey. And I'm going to rename this one Skin. So all that does is give you a grey filled with 50% grey, easy for me to say, over your portrait. And we're going to paint on this in white or black. So let's take this up a bit closer. I've got white chosen as the foreground colour. I'm only working at 20%. Alright, so try it at 20% to start with. Nice and soft, just make sure that your brush is nice and soft, decent size, you know, blah 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 blah. Right, okay. And we're just going to paint over there. And you can see what's happening. I'm painting white onto the overlay layer in 50%, and it's taking that up. Now, if I do it in one brush stroke, I can go across to my Edit Fade Brush tool. And you can see there I can fine tune. So you've got a fine tuning method for each brush stroke you do. Remember that, it's for each separate brush strokes. Let's go in there. Let's just keep the mouse down on that one. I'm still on the skin layer, just the one layer. I can go back in and I can just fade that to a different degree. So you have a lot of flexibility in this old style method. Let's just paint some more in here. And you can see again I'm painting it in. I'm just painting white onto a grey fill layer. Whoops, let's just go back to Fade Brush tool again. And I can fine tune again. And this could go on forever. I can be painting in over here. Change the size of your brush. If you really want to change your opacity, we can fade it again. Just take it down a bit again. So I'm just fine tuning my brush strokes every one I do. Okay, you might only want to do 2 or 3 brush strokes. That's what it looked like to start with. That's what it's looking like now. Maybe a bit too much. So you can actually then slide the opacity of the layer you've been working on. So you have the Edit Fade Brush Stroke option, and you have the opacity slider to slide around in as well. So you've got 2 methods in this dodge and burn way of doing things. If we look there, fade's not available because we've done something else in the layer stack. And we can go across on the same dodge and burn layer. We're not changing different layers, you're just doing this as a one layer thing. We can use white again at 20%. Just take it down, just holding the mouse down here, and I'm just painting over those darker areas. I can go straight into my edit again, fade the brush tool, and then just fine tune my retouching. I'm keeping the skin texture underneath. It's not blurring things, we're not wiping things out, we're retaining some pore details. So you're actually retouching things without blurring things. We're just filling in those shadows and we're fine tuning as we go. So let's go to edit. Don't forget it's your last brush stroke it's going to fade. And just take that down a little bit there. Okay. And you have your opacity of that overlay. Grey filled, 50% grey filled layer to play with, and you can fine tune then. So you've got 2 ways of fine tuning on a dodge and burn layer. Very flexible, very easy to do your portraits. Once you get into this, it's so easy. It's just one layer, one brush, multiple edits with your fade brush, and then the final one, the opacity of your layer. And you can do some more work on there. You keep working on it, retaining the skin detail. We're not blurring out the skin detail. There's a method I'll show you where we can blur the skin out. Got to call up a new layer now. Just to hit the icon at the bottom there, new layer icon. And I'm going to call this one Paint. Because again, that's a different method of doing it. We're going to paint under the eyes. We're going to select. Look at the dark colours there. There's lots of lighter colours in there. If I hover my brush over and hold down the Alt or the Option key, the little sampler tool comes out. I can click there. And I'm going to change my blend mode of my layer to lighten, and I'm going to paint over that area there. Still at 20%, still very soft, not a hard brush at all. You can resample all the time as you're going along, so I'm going to resample that as well. I'm trying my best to retain that pore and skin detail in there. Remember, we're doing this on a layer that's 100%. We can actually bring the opacity down. So just building up, resampling, going around and resampling different areas. And just painting gently over those darker areas with the lighter colour I've resampled. Some colours are too light. You know, you don't want to be retouching the nose from that very bright chin colour. But then just the shadow, if you just go next to where the shadow area is, you can actually gently bring that down. Remember, we have the Edit Fade Brush tool option. Again, just for your last brush stroke. We've also got the opacity slider to take that in. So again, you've got the double way of doing things. You can edit each brush stroke you want to do. That's easy for me to say. And then you can edit the opacity of the layer itself. So two separate methods there. Let's see them both in action together. Probably looks far too much. It's beginning to look a bit plastic on the eyes. Best to keep a bit of detail under there. We can mix these in together and just play around with those sliders. Looking good. And again, you can build up layer stacks. You don't have to restrict yourself to 2 layers. Let's just mouse down on this and see it's not working. Oh, technology's let me down. Let's just click on that again. So that's how it was to start with, and if we just go above and bring these back in again, we've done a very subtle retouch under the eyes. Again, you can keep working on it. It should only take you a minute or two, really, once you're in the groove about doing this. Remember, we're not doing high-end beauty retouching. We're just making these portraits look a bit better, a bit more presentable. And that's an easy method of doing it. Okay, that's me finished. So, until the next time, that's bye for now.